Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division with the tournament win for the qualifying round in the Savannah Tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And before we start, make sure that you do hit that like button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. You can get the ultimate tournament guide for Expert or for Pro and Master by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link directly in the description down below. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. There will be plenty of drops, so be ready taking your notes. Make sure that you do send us an email to support@golfclashtommy.com if you do have any questions. Thank you so much once again, and let's go to hole number one. For hole number one, we're looking to use a Kingmaker combined with the driver that gives us the most power. In my case, that is the Apocalypse level 6. 4 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the right. Now I'm looking to be at the +7 yard mark, and look what I do with my target. I move it as much to the right possible until I find the sticky spot. And the sticky spot is where you see the second bounce to be basically stuck. You move, but you see the second bounce to be stuck. So you want to be just left of that spot, and then you have found the correct position. Watch the video a couple of times if you feel uncomfortable with what I'm saying. Not uncomfortable, but having maybe a hard time to understand what I'm talking about. Then you will notice clearly what I'm talking about. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment is what we're using there for the drive, and we are going to find ourselves at the 346 yard mark. Now, for the second shot, we're going to play with the Grizzly. Find complete minimum distance with your club, which we're gonna do at first. And once we have found the minimum distance, we shall, in that case, as you see, push up 3 rings. And from there, we're going to add backspin. And here it's important to have backspin so it goes to the hole, not through the hole. Aim at the pin, and then with a 3 ring push up, we shall adjust 5% slider with a 10% over adjustment. Always. So always push up 3 rings, always adjust for 5% slider with a 10% elevation, and hit perfect. With hitting perfect here, you will see this shot being dropped basically every single time if you do your adjustment correct. One thing to have in mind here is that if you do get a very bad bounce on the drive, which would mean that you will get further up on the fairway, then you will have to use more backspin on your Grizzly. And if you're going to have to use 5 to 6 bars of backspin on your Grizzly, you're going to have to add more to your adjustment. We do suggest that you change the elevation to 15% instead of the 10% that we're playing here. So the 10% elevation is covering when we're playing with 2 to 4 bars of backspin. Anything that we will have to play with more backspin than that, then we play with 15% elevation instead. This to compensate for the push that it's going to be, because with more backspin the ball will act differently than what it does with less backspin here for hole number one. Super boring hole is what I'm saying about hole number 2 when we do have a headwind. So we are going to use 4 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the right. You can see that I do start at the +4 yard mark, trying to be just left of the sticky spot with the second bounce. Have in mind that when you do play with Apocalypse level 4 here in this shot, you shall start at the +10 yard mark instead of the +4 due to the 6 yards less in power. Adjust max +10. And as we don't go into overpower, we shall not go with any overpower. But as you probably have already been counted out, is that if you do play with Apocalypse level 4 or any other driver with less than 240 yards of power, you will be having to go with overpower. And how much? Then you will go with as much as it shows you adjust into. So if you adjust 1 ring into overpower, you use 1 ring of overpower for your shot. Second shot, now the only plan here is to get this ball down towards the green area. It could be for a short wedge, it could be for a putt. Make sure that you don't go short or long. So we do not want to be in the hazard, and it's very important here now that you are just very careful with, first and foremost, the amount of spin that you're using, and then second of all, the amount of overpower that you're using. Here I'm not using enough overpower, and I clip the rough and roll out, and this is totally fine. I will take this all day and every day, because now I do have a simple wedge towards the pin. Use around 1.5 bar to 2 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the left, so you can aim as far to the right possible, and then overpower shall be 2 rings more than what you adjust into. So if you do adjust 2 rings into overpower, you use 4 rings of overpower to play the second shot. Very tough par 5 to make an albatross on in tailwind. I would call it close to nothing is impossible, but very close to impossible if we do have a headwind here, because it's just a absolute mess all the way through. Take the eagle and run to hole 3. Hole number 3, and we're going to play a rough bump. Start with a power 2 ball to find complete minimum distance with the right side of the yellow ring by the sand trap line. 3 bars of side spin to the right and 1.5 bar of a top spin. And you can see here that I do set it up with a katana. That's because I don't have any power 2 side spin 3 ball win 5 on this account. So I do set it up with a katana, then I do change to a power 1 side spin 3 win 5 ball instead. So that is a way that you can go about it. So quarterback, we play minimum distance, no elevation, power 2 ball settings. No curl, obviously, and no overpower, no underpower either, and try to hit perfect. And you will see here that this ball will hit the rough very nicely, and we have room for a great left. We also have room for a great right. And this ball dropped left side of cup, which is beautiful because that means that we do have a little margin of error as well when it comes to the topspin. So be sure to have the 1.5 bars of topspin, but rather have a little bit less than 1.5 than have a little bit more, if that makes sense. So again, minimum distance, no elevation, power 2 ball settings for hole number 3. Hole number 4, and we are going for green. Stretch out your target absolute max to find the spot just before the ball guideline is clipped away by the rough. 2 bars of side spin to the left is what I'm using, 5.5 bars top spin, and we are going to adjust maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. Don't push up anything if you do play with a driver with 240 yards of power. 1.5 ball curl to the left and try to hit perfect. And as we're not pushing up to max, you will play max overpower with a slow needle, which will help you massively in hitting perfect. So I played this shot 6 times on the practice arena, and I got the same result every single time. The only difference, though, it will be, is that if you do have a low wind, in my opinion, in a low wind, I want us to push up 2 yards just to compensate for the lower winds that we're going to have. Also, if you do play with Apocalypse level 4, you will have to push up an extra 6 yards because you have 6 yards less power. In the end, though, very simple adjustment, and the rough seems not really to care when the ball rolls, so you roll through the rough regardless, and you're gonna have a very safe eagle on hole number 4. Hole number 5, we're going to play with a win 5, side spin 3, power 1 ball. Or let's say like this, it doesn't matter what power ball you have, importance is the side spin 3 and the win 5. Here I'm looking to have the top of the red ring by the rough line with the right side of the blue ring by the sand trap line. And we will be using 3 bars of side spin to the right and 4 bars of topspin. You will notice then that the ball guideline goes left of pin, and that is exactly what we do want to do. Now, for the adjustment, we're looking to play with a small 1159 pull angle, and we're looking to use medium distance, no elevation, power 1 ball settings, which will give us 4.7 rings. As always, when it comes to, or not always, but as common on the par 3s, we're not using any curl, overpower, or underpower. So we do hit perfect, and we're looking to have the ball to bounce into the rough and roll up towards the pin. This is a green that is very bumpy, so it is difficult to get the correct line every single time, and that means that the technical aspects of this shot is going to have to be absolutely spot on every time. Otherwise, you will miss a little left or a little right. So have that in mind when playing hole 5. It's not going to be a 100%er, but it's going to be a really good one if following the adjustment that is suggested here in the video. Hole number 6, we do have a little tailwind, so therefore we will be going full blast over the rough. Now, we're looking to find the position that is just by the edge of the bunker line or sand trap line. You can see there by the bullseye, and what I'm using in this case, 1 bar of left spin and 2.8 bars of top spin. I would recommend like this: if you do play with a wind that is 8 miles per hour or more, 2.8 bars of top spin is perfect. If you do have a wind that is below 8 miles per hour, I would recommend to go with 3 bars of top spin instead, because we're looking to get the ball up to a specific yardage, and we need to in that case compensate by doing different type of topspin adjustment for the drive. Adjust max plus 20, push up to max, and then we use max overpower. And you can see here that we have room for a great left and a great right, and we're looking to be somewhere between 405 and 415 yards, somewhere around that. Because if we do get there, we're gonna have a grizzly towards the pin. And here I've been working with a couple of rough bumps that didn't really go my way, so I decided to go the normal route just to bounce up towards the pin. Now it is very important to leave the ball guideline short of pin, otherwise we will come in hot because we do have a tailwind and the green slopes downhill. We are just in the plus 4 yard mark, which is an important reference in the ball guideline to go in the center of that dark green square. I'm using around 3 bars of backspin, 1 bar of left spin, and here I'm using 86% slider, 10% elevation for, 15% elevation should be the correct amount. So we're going to change that right away for that little mistake. So we change to 15 because we are going to play that as elevation. So 86% slider, 15% elevation. That there we do have the correct number. So you can see here it looks like it's gonna stop short, but as the green falls downhill, we get that ball to roll in for a nice albatross here in hole number 6. For hole number 7, you will see 2 options. We're going to start with a normal bounce over option, no movement style. 2.9 bars of backspin, 0.2 bars of side spin to the left. Now, we're going to play medium distance with a 35% over adjustment, power 3 ball settings. You notice that I do play with a Win 5 Power 3 ball, but you can play with whatever Win 5 ball you may have. So it doesn't matter if it's a Power 0, Power 1, Power 2, Power 3, or Power 4, you can still play the same type of shot. The most important part though is to keep the same power adjustment. We're getting this one super duper close, and I would say that we needed just a little bit more side spin to get that ball to drop. But when we do a bounce over shot, especially on this hole, we are going to have in mind that the birdie is going to be the most likely outcome, but there was always going to be a chance for an hole-in-one. Let's take a look at a very aggressive rough bump option that is only possible with Sniper 10. Rough bump time, and we're going to play a very aggressive rough bump, have the bottom of the inner ring just by the rough line at the plus 4 yard mark, and we're going to have the ball guideline through the hole before the spin has been added. 1.2 bars of backspin, 0.8 bars of side spin to the right. Now we shall adjust for a maximum distance with a 40% over adjustment, power 3 ball settings. Have in mind that this shot cannot be played with anything lower than level 10 sniper, and also it needs a wind 5 ball, otherwise we will go in between clubs, and then that's going to be a major issue. Just have the bottom of the ball slightly overlap the bottom arrows. That is needed, otherwise we will most likely plug the ball directly into the bunker. You can see how close we are because I'm not really using the enough overpower in this shot. But we still managed to drop it, and the rough bump is by far the superior way to get a hole-in-one on hole 7. But have in mind that this shot is not for anyone that feel uncomfortable with their adjustment, combined with feeling uncomfortable with if they can or if you can center the ball properly. And that is something that you need to have in mind, because then play the bounce over shot. This is not going to be a par 3 where the ball is going to drop every single time, so have that in mind as well when you play hole 7. Hole number 8, we're going to use the driver that gives us the most power possible. In my case, it's the Apocalypse level 6, and I'm using 6 bars of topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the right, and you are probably already noticed that you can play with basically whatever driver you have that has 6 bars of topspin. At the plus 6 yard mark is where I start with a 240 yard driver with Apocalypse club halfway into the rough with the red ring to the right. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and we will be using around 0.75 ball to the right, so 3/4 of a ball outside to the right in curl. Bounces nicely on the fairway, and now we're looking to be around 375 yards up if we can choose. 374, that's perfect. Now we're looking to go to absolute minimum distance of our club, and in this scenario we're not going to use any spin whatsoever. But the higher up you're getting with your drive, or like the longer drive you have, then the more backspin you're going to have to use. That's the same if you're going to have a shorter drive, then we're going to use topspin instead. It is very important though to always keep yourself in absolute minimum distance of your club, and then adjust from there. No side spin at all, only topspin and backspin to make sure that you keep yourself in minimum distance line with the thorn. Minimum distance with a 15% over adjustment, but we're playing power 2 ball settings, not power 3 ball, even though we're using a power 3 ball here. Bounces nicely on the fairway, and we get that ball to roll right at pin for a beautiful eagle here on hole number 8. No movement drive for hole number 9. Use as much topspin possible and 2 bars of side spin to the right. And when I mean as much topspin possible, I mean that with every club there is in the game. So if you do have more topspin, use that, because the further down on the fairway we get, the better it's going to be for the second shot. Max overpower, half a ball of curl to the right after an adjustment of maximum distance with plus 10. Have in mind that I do play with a power 3 ball, so if you do play with a power 4 ball or a power 5 ball, you cannot go with max overpower, because then you will clip the rough and roll out, and then you will be in a massive danger of missing out on the eagle. Because here I do not feel that the chance for an eagle is going to be that big. So I'm playing this one just safe, as I'm nowhere near to reach for the rough bump. So I'm just going to try to use, fairway bounce into the rough to roll out to just lock in the eagle. Adjust max snow elevation for the second shot. 3 top spin, 3 bars of left spin. And here we do want to go the opposite direction when it comes to overpower. If you remember from hole number 2, is that instead of using 1 ring more than what we adjust into, we use 1 ring less in overpower than what we adjust into. So for an example, if you adjust 2 rings into overpower, you use 1 ring, and the reason for that is that we do adjust from a lower to a higher point, so we already have some help in getting more distance by adjusting from a lower to a higher point. So 1 ball of curl to the left as well. Play it very safe, take the eagle, be done with it, and hope for a better wind in the opening round. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Expert Division. For the qualifying round here in the Savannah Tournament in Golf Clash the game. Before we end it here, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Ultimate Tournament Guide for Expert or for Pro and Master, you go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link directly in the description down below. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Once again, thank you so much for watching and good luck in your Golf Clash game.